You know, what happened in Atlanta upset the Beehive. Beyoncé's crew reportedly suffered a robbery in Atlanta. Besides, this was no ordinary smash and grab. Set lists, tour footage, designer apparel, and unreleased music are all up for grabs. This incident happened on July 8th and involves two key members of Beyoncé's entourage. It was her longtime choreographer, Christopher Grant, and her dancer, DeAndre Blue. When they were in Atlanta, they parked their rental Jeep wagon at a garage near Crow Street Market. They carry on with their regular activities, but after going back to the back windows have been damaged, and the car and two full bags are gone. The mesinzas begins at this point. Thus, those packages contained hard drives and jump drives, set lists, rehearsal videos, unreleased Beyoncé songs, and even the dates of upcoming Atlanta shows are reportedly among them. They also took valuables, such as designer eyewear, AirPods, computers, and other costly stuff. However, it is the music and tour material that enthralls the people. We are talking about unique, watermarked, private files that aren't meant for public use. Now, the Police Department did get engaged immediately, and the investigation is still ongoing. But this is what they found out. Using the Find My feature connected to the stolen AirPods, they were able to find a possible suspect. The car was reportedly a red 2025 Hyundai Elantra, despite the fact that no one was taken into custody. They also collected fingerprints and are now reviewing the security footage from the garage. No one has been officially charged yet, but someone has already been questioned. The security question is loud, of course. Why was all that personal stuff just kept in the trunk of a rental SUV? People are criticizing them for just leaving the products out in the open instead of securing them in a safe or hotel. However, let's be honest, accidents do happen when you're moving fast. It's unfortunate, but it's a clear reminder. Hopefully, they're listening. Atlanta police also took advantage of this opportunity to educate the public about their Clean Car campaign, basically saying, don't leave stuff in your car, even if you think it's hidden, because clearly people are watching. Now, we'll wait. Is the music going to be leaked? Will there be a sudden decline? Or will they get it back before it's posted on Reddit or Twitter? Anyway, that car theft might have just been the beginning of a chain of events that Beyoncé didn't. And I really want to know what Beyoncé thinks of this. I wonder if she was angry with them. Was she disturbed by the situation? Or was she really angry? I have no doubt that this enraged Beyoncé, who is incredibly strict and careful, because it was impossible to predict what was in those files. But I'd want to hear your thoughts on this ridiculous situation. However, given Atlanta's reputation for it, I must admit that I am not shocked. Okay, so Atlanta is known for stealing your possessions and breaking into your windows, okay? So I'm somewhat surprised at their carelessness in leaving things in the car. Nevertheless, kindly provide your opinions in the space provided for comments. Below, let's go on to the following story. Everyone, let's get going. The focus of this popular online topic is Crone and her child. But what else is new? This supposed knowledge is unfortunate, though. For legal reasons, I will not put the actual documents here, but I will honestly tell you exactly what is being said and what is alleged in the filings. These screenshots, which have been circulating on TikTok and Twitter this week, seem to be of Chrisean Jr.'s medical records. I'm not saying they aren't true, but I'm also not saying they are. Reporting what is visible and being debated on those posts is all I'm doing. These alleged documents state that the baby tested positive for cocaine, alcohol, and painkillers at delivery. It also includes newborn abstinence, spasticity, seizure disorders, and even a syndrome called cortical visual impairment that changes the way the brain processes visual information. That's some serious stuff, you guys. Now remember that this is all alleged. Multiple doctors, including those in neurology, cardiology, orthopedics, and maybe more, are actively treating the infant according to the documents. According to one passage, Chrisean even acknowledged the mother's continuous usage of alcohol and cocaine during the pregnancy, which is what the screenshots are assertive. King K's is the account that uploaded these images. Now let me say this. I looked at this account, everyone, and it's no longer there. I'm not sure if the account was flagged or deleted because of the information that was shared. Now, their posts were completely unrestrained. They accused Crone, her staff, and even Blueface of lying to the public about the child's condition, claiming that people tried to make it seem as though the boy was healthy while, in reality, he has been having a lot of difficulties. They attacked everyone too, arguing in her behalf and using the child as proof. Now, let me explain. However, none of this has been verified. Again, this is supposed. I'm not verifying the veracity of these records, and I'm not sure how they were obtained. I can tell you, though, that these charges are rapidly gaining traction, and people are currently talking about them on Reddit, TikTok, and Twitter. Some believe it to be factual, while others say it's a smear campaign. In any event, the story is gathering traction, and people are listening carefully. My rationale was that if they had found all of this in the newborn system, they should have taken the baby from Crone. So I had to conduct some investigation. But according to my research, it's not as simple as we might believe. Therefore, CPS, or another kind of child welfare investigation, would have been started right away if all of those allegations were true. He acknowledged using cocaine and alcohol when she was pregnant, and he had all of those substances in his blood. Hospitals are legally required to disclose any suspected prenatal chemical exposure in infants, especially when multiple substances are implicated. But here's the trick. I didn't know that just because a complaint is filed doesn't mean the baby is always taken. This is essentially how it typically works. If the baby tests positive for alcohol or drugs at delivery, the hospital immediately alerts Child Protective Services. Again, it is necessary. CPS evaluates the situation. Is the baby getting the proper attention? Does the parent have a support system? Is the environment safe? Does the parent get medical care or exerting effort? There is a significant risk. They may take the child away temporarily. Okay? They can assign a caseworker for check-ins and impose drug testing, rehabilitation, or parenting programs mandated by the court. If the parent cooperates and certain conditions are met, the child may stay in the home even though there is known drug exposure. Thus, assuming these assertions are accurate, Crone will be safe as long as she can show that she is actually trying. Let me summarize by saying that this is allegedly again. We don't know where these documents came from, but just to be fair, let me also say this. Many individuals have begun criticizing Crone because they don't think she's helping Junior. Do I believe that she is now going to get help for the baby's alleged illness? I don't know. In the end, though, she owes no one an explanation. She'll require help with the infant, naturally. Does she have to explain why she is receiving the baby help and what she is doing to accomplish it to us, the public, or anybody else? She owes us nothing, really. I do hope she will have that child, though a little help. But I'd like to know what you think about this. When I read those documents on TikTok or Twitter, I must admit that I was astounded. So I'm hoping it's not true. The documents aren't real, I hope, but I'd like to know what you think of it. Having seen the documents, do you believe they are reliable? That's all I have to say. I will talk to you later.
Chrisean Rock. So there's been some medical documents that have been released that people are saying are the medical documents of Junior, Chrisean's son. I'm going to tell you where to go to watch this on YT in a minute. So I don't know if these are actually Junior's medical records, but I will say that the medical records appear to have been written by a medical professional, just the terminology that was used and stuff. Okay? I do believe there's somebody's medical records, all right? Now, the one thing that makes me a little leery about it is it says that the mother admitted to prenatal substance abuse, and it listed some substances that she admitted to. I just find it hard to believe that Chrisean would ever even admit that.
So allegedly, Chrisean Jr.'s medical records been leaked. I don't know how true it is, but it's saying that he got all type of stuff and how she was being neglectful. But my thing is, if the doctors test the babies after they were born, and they see that something, like if she was doing substances or something, she would have had to suffer the consequences. So I'm not sure if everything is true or not, but whoever did leak that is about to face some serious charges because the HIPAA laws. Like, why would y'all leak that anyways?
So apparently somebody that leaked Chrisean Rock and Jr.'s medical records from when he was born, listing the list of issues that he had. One of the issues being alcohol fetal syndrome, another one dealing with his ophthalmology, dealing with his sight, something else dealing with pulmonary, dealing with his lungs. I'm gonna tell y'all like this, there's so much fake news going on right now. I'm going to take this with a grain of salt, even though the person who posted it tagged Blueface and Carlissa in it. Also proving that she didn't take no prenatal vitamins when she was pregnant. Listen, y'all, when you have a baby, there are so many tests that are performed during, after your labor, right? So if the doctors found something that could have been a cause due to the neglect of the mother, she would have had some type of consequence. Chrisean suffered no consequence, which is why I take this so-called news with a grain of salt. But we all know something going on. So I don't know if the hospital that she had the baby at, it is a well-known hospital for celebrities, and they do tend to cover shit up. But I'm pretty sure nobody not about to risk losing their license, misdiagnosing a child who's clearly having all of these difficulties and developmental delays. They're not gonna write something like, oh, the baby is healthy when the baby not healthy. Like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe they had advised her to get the baby certain kind of help, and they probably worded it on the paperwork as if it was natural causes and not due to the neglect of the mama. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? All I know is there's a story going around showing fake or true diagnosis and records from the baby. I don't know. But I'm gonna look more into it, y'all. I'll come back if they, if it's true or not.
Okay, who's out here breaking HIPAA laws? Apparently, there's some medical records of Chrisean and her baby floating around, and I don't know if it's true. This is all alleged, but I'm just gonna share what I learned. Maybe, allegedly. So it says that the baby suffers from fetal alcohol syndrome and neonatal abstinence syndrome. So neonatal abstinence syndrome is basically the baby is withdrawing from opioids, some sort of drugs, but they're thinking either opioids or cocaine in this case. And allegedly, but he also allegedly suffers from spasticity, which is like a neurological disorder that makes it hard for people or babies to move their limbs. He also suffers from seizure disorder and CVI. Now, CVI is cortical visual impairment, which is just it means that a part of his brain has been damaged, the part of his brain that controls his vision. So he has blindness. Like, a lot of I've heard people say this, but I just didn't believe it. But oh my God. It also says that he should be in palliative care. Now, I work in hospice, and a lot of people, they believe that palliative care and hospice is interchangeable, but it's not. The palliative care kind of focuses more on prolonging the life of the child or person in general. But in this case, if he should be on palliative care, he's got a very serious medical condition, and she needs to be taking care of him. How? As a mother, do you know these diagnoses, or do you know any of this information about your son and not help him in any way? Continue to live the same lifestyle that you lived before you had him. When you become a mother or father, but in this case, we're talking about mothers. When you become a mother, your life changes. You need to change, to adapt, to make sure that you are putting your child above yourself. especially someone who has the serious medical issues that Junior has. Pathetic. She's pathetic. But all of these things are incredibly serious. I have literally no words. Chrisean disgusts me.